my father used to force me to try to watch NFL games when I was younger. I would hate it. I would get tired. They would come on late. I'd get tired. But I was kind of a bad kid, like terrible class clown. And my father just kind of forced me one year.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast. The paths we travel have many bends and forks in the roadway. Opportunities arise, and we can make the choice to go right or left, never knowing that if we are on the path that we're supposed to be. Often there are big neon signs on the side, telling us to take the road that everyone else is taking. But something in our stomach tells us that path is not for us. We decide to go down the road less traveled and see where it goes. The road less traveled has very little light and can be frightening. It's dark because very few have the guts to take it. For those that are willing to take this direction, there is very little leadway between failure and success. I'm Kevin Donaldson here with Mike Failace, and on this episode of the Suffering Podcast, we sit down with Damon Hayes to discuss the suffering of a movie director. Damon's taken the road that's less traveled, but with his background, he's almost assured himself success. So, Damon, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. And I was telling Mike about you. You've been this gentleman, like this honest gentleman from the first moment we met when another De Palma.
Yeah, another De Palma one.
I'm
surprised he's not from Hoboken.
I'm surprised you still talk to him.
Yeah, he's cool.
Before we get into anything, let's talk about our marquee sponsor. That's Toyota of Hackensack. We don't trust anybody, but we do trust Toyota of Hackensack. So if you're looking for a car, go to toyotahackensack.com. Let them find you a car. So how's your ride in, buddy?
It was nice. It was a little traffic to start, but it smoothed out. So
Come up on like 3 and 46.
Uh-huh.
That's a pain in the ass, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Getting in and out of so
should have just met me in my house. Like we could have drove in together. Had to come almost right through Lyndhurst.
Damon came from Jersey City, and every time I got to go into Jersey City, I curse like a sailor because I can't take all that traffic and that congestion. That's tough, man.
Yeah.
440.
Yeah, thank God I work remote, so I don't drive too much. Right?
You work remote. You don't have to go out at all, and
Yeah, I only go out for like groceries or to get a haircut or like something film related, which we'll get to. But yeah,
They don't have a barbershop in there yet?
that's a nice segue.
No,
They
that'd
got
be
about
cool,
everything
though.
but a barbershop.
That's a nice segue in there. I just got that.
Yeah.
Just do movie directing
we'll get
stuff.
that later.
So every week, Damon, we take a question from our audience. This question is from True Ryan Mack, and that is, what is the most creative thing you've done to date?
I'm a film director, and I wrote a script I finished it probably about like a month ago. And I started in October, and my first time, and it took some real brain power. But yeah, that was probably the most creative for sure. Yeah.
It's got to be an interesting thing writing a script. Did you have a background in how to write this script, or you just like, this is what I'm going to
Right
do?
off the cuff.
Yeah, right off the cuff.
Yeah.
Right off the cuff,
Right off the cuff. Mike, besides growing your hair out, what else creative have you done?
Well, I think I may defer this one because I'm not done creating yet. I really haven't created anything yet, except for my 2 kids.
But that's not true. That's not true at all. You just haven't put the thought in, because I know for a fact that you have created.
I created a lot of things in my head, but no, I mean, like law enforcement, you got to be creative. You got to figure out scenarios and make up scenarios in order to figure out a scenario. If you know what I'm saying, when you're in a bureau, you got to make up a scenario and be creative about it. And
Yeah.
but I'm really not a
And that's
creative
a life or
person.
death situation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
With me, listen, there's a part of me that's always throughout my life been creative. I like to create stuff. I like to build something out of nothing, whether it's with my hands building a house or a piece of art. And the funny thing about my kids is both of them they're equal parts of me, but they're just separate. Like my youngest is ultra creative, loves to paint, loves to draw, loves to do projects, sculpt, whatever. And my other one's the sports guy. So there's these 2 things that have come together perfectly for me. But aside from this show, which was just sort of an idea.
Good job, by the way.
Thank you. Aside from this show, it's been a pursuit of creativity. You go into something very idealistic, like, hey, I'm going to write this movie script. I'm going to, I got this idea in my head. But then when you start learning the mechanics behind it, that's when the real creativity, because you got to work with nothing.
Right.
You know, and you can be told all day long that it's got to have 3 parts and you got to have a main character here and this person's got to enter in here. But until you get into the real minutia of what it is to create things, like with this show, just to give you an example, I knew nothing about podcasting. So I started reading, how do you publish a podcast? And what do you do? And how do you drive it out there? And it was just something fun and creative to do. And then it became this whole different thing. So then it doesn't stop. Like it's, how do you create video clips? How do you create social media posts? How do you create just everything out of nothing?
Yeah.
And how do you do that? You watch people that came before you.
Right.
And it was really just a whim out of boredom.
It was a continuation of our.
Not a board.
It was. It was. It was a continuation of our group therapy.
Mhm.
We were, you know, I was working, but we were working split shifts. I wasn't a cop. We were working split shifts, so I was off 3 days, and so I had all this time to. And I'm not that. Idle hands are really bad for me because then I start destroying.
And idle mind is the devil's playground.
Yeah, and it's a bad playground when I have that. So that's a tough question, Ryan Mack. For me, it's the show, filmmaking. Mike, I'm telling you right now, you just haven't thought of the answer, and it's not just creating your kids. Creation takes a little bit of suffering.
Yeah.
Oh, I suffered.
Keep sending your questions in. We'll try to get them on the air. So, Damon, I've been reading a lot about you.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff out there on you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you understand that or not. Google is,
I was going to say, you Google his name and everything pops up.
yeah, you're like, whoa. So why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah.
You don't have to start from the womb or anything.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm just start from right now. We'll get to the past stuff, but right now I'm a real introverted, obsessive maniac when it comes to like my work. I would say that's like me in a nutshell right now.
Where'd you grow up?
Maryland.
You Maryland?
Yeah, Prince George's County.
And you came up here for college, I'm assuming?
Yeah, came here to play football.
So, time out.
Mhm.
You moved from beautiful Maryland to New Jersey?
Yeah.
What's the matter with you? You went backwards.
Yeah, no, that was the goal was to play in the NFL. So
he came up to the banks of the old
yeah,
railroad.
that was the best opportunity.
Come on, man.
Well, so when you first started playing football, now just to let everybody in, Damon played all 4 years at Rutgers University. But when you first started playing football, football was just like everybody else. You want to give it a shot. But when did you develop a love for it?
Yeah, funny story. My father used to force me to try to watch NFL games when I was younger. I would hate it. I would get tired. They would come on late. I'd get tired. But I was kind of a bad kid, like terrible class clown. And my father just kind of forced me one year. And I was like pretty good, played running back. And then it was fun. You know, you go to school, tell girls, hey, I play football, stuff like that.
They look at you a different way.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the funny thing about football, football is the one sport, and it's different than baseball. It's different than hockey. It's different than basketball. With football, because you're around those kids so much, that becomes a real family. And when I don't know if it was like this in Maryland, but here in New Jersey, the football team, you guys all looked out for each other. You know, I can tell you every person I've ever played football with.
Yeah.
You're in the trenches with them. In baseball, you're not in the trenches. You know, you're in the on deck circle.
Yeah.
And then you get up to bat. And, you know, in football, you're fighting against another team and fighting with each other to, you know.
Was that the same way down there?
Like Little League or like college?
Just junior league football.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like a bunch of middle schools scattered around, but whoever was at your school, yeah, typically you stuck together for sure.
And that's the beauty of football as opposed to everything else. I mean, you're practicing also 5, 6. You know, it's a 6 or 7 day a week thing.
Yeah.
With the games on the weekends and practice during the week.
And films.
Meetings and stuff like that, yeah.
Well, when you got to high school, I imagine that's when your talent really started to shine.
Yeah.
What'd you play in high school?
Where?
What did you play?
Oh, what did I play?
Wide receiver.
Yeah, I started off wide receiver and safety, and then safety, then corner.
So you went right over you just dropped the offense.
Yeah, dropped it.
You just dropped it.
That's what I always said. When I played semi-pro, I played corner because I was sick of getting hit. I was a wide receiver in a corner, and I was sick of getting hit.
Yeah.
I realized I'm only 5'9", and I'm too slow.
It was it was more of a futuristic choice just what do I have a shot at succeeding?
And then as you start to matriculate through high school, people are starting to take notice. You're starting to get some press. You're getting eyes on you.
Yeah.
You're getting tall.
Yeah.
And I know you can't see it, but Damon's a tall guy. I mean, he's a big guy. And I just safety at your height.
Yeah.
I know it's ultra important. You always put the fastest kids, so I'm assuming you were lightning.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty fast.
Yeah,
that's pretty fast.
You don't put I don't
Pretty
see
fast. I bet she's under 4.4.
I don't see too many slow safeties.
Or slow corners for that matter.
I don't see any. They weren't putting linemen back there anytime soon.
So you never played safety, is what you're saying?
Never.
It's a tough position.
If you would listen, I can run like a 4.8 20.
There's some safeties out there that be running that though. Shockingly.
Now, what schools were looking at you in high school?
It wasn't many. Top of mind: Purdue, Wake Forest, Maryland, Rutgers, Old Dominion, Boston College.
Boston College.
I was going to say Maryland had to be looking at you.
Yeah, Maryland. They never offered that. It was a weird situation.
Boston College. Again, why Rutgers? Was it just the best deal that?
No, yeah, Boston College was top 2. I went on a visit, loved it. I just couldn't see myself going there as a student. Like for some reason, the demographics were a little bit.
You got to get a feel for a place too.
Yeah.
Did you feel like more at home at Rutgers?
Well, I went on.
Plus, it's closer to home.
Plus, it's where the first college football game was played.
Yeah, I went on like an official visit, so they lay out the red carpet for you. So it was
announcing your name in the stadium.
Yeah, so it was a real like experience, and then I had already kind of like knew some of the guys there, so yeah, it made sense.
That's why you chose it.
Well, the head coach came from Ohio State, and he had coached
Chris Ash, right?
Chris Ash, yeah, good guy. He had coached a lot of people that played my position and that transitioned to the NFL. So I just looked at it the smartest choice as far as like all my options. Yeah.
Where you could get the most visibility or the most playing time. Is that's that takes that you got to take that into account too. Like if they got a safety that's a sophomore who's a stud, why would you go there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean I'm not gonna say I was thinking about that too much. It was more so like I looked at it as I can get the teachings from somebody that taught, somebody that got to where I want to go. You know what I mean? That's a very mature way of thinking about that. Yeah. This is where I'm going to get the best football education. Yeah. Because in reality, I mean, I think you feel the same way. In reality, college, unless you're going to Ivy League, which again, people who went to Ivy League who I know, the hardest part about an Ivy League school is getting in. Once you're in, it's no big deal. Just like every other college. Even Harvard's that way.
I mean, you played with some defensive backs that made it, though, right? Like Blisson Austin was on your team, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's my close friend. Yeah. He's a character, too. Yeah. It's funny.
So you come on as a freshman. Mm-hmm. What was it like the first time you ran out of that tunnel?
It was surreal, but it was bittersweet. So, funny story. The only time I didn't play in my college career was my freshman year first game. So, it was bittersweet because we were in Washington, and it looks amazing out there. I'm 17 years old still at the time. But I knew I wasn't going to play just this one game. So it was like fun, to be there first time, but you're a real competitor. You want to be out there. So that part was a little.
Yeah, but you're on the sidelines
I was on the sidelines. But just that one game though.
That's got to suck though. You're used to being the star your whole career, kids, high school, all of a sudden you're on the sideline like this.
I'll tell you a funny story. My father came to the game. And my father lives in Texas, so I don't see him that often. I hadn't seen him probably like a couple years, but he came to Washington game, and I didn't play. So after the game, you're supposed to like say hello to your parents and stuff like that. I just get on the bus. I'm like mad, like I don't want to talk to nobody. People like tell me, "Hey, your father's outside. I want to talk to you." I just tell him he can go home. Like I don't want to talk.
Whoops.
If my son ever does that and as he's going to a D1 school, we're gonna have some words.
Yeah, he was upset for sure. Yeah.
But that roar, that crowd, unlike anything, and that's what I always think about with D1 when you're playing in those big stadiums, those storied stadiums. Yeah. And you come out of that tunnel, and all of a sudden it's 20,000, 30,000 people, sometimes more than that. And I don't. Was it ever an intimidating thing to you?
I'll be honest and say my first play was really intimidating. The first play, and after that, I was like, okay, it's just football. But the first play, it was like, it was people yelling.
The TV cameras are on you, and
You don't really see those as much, but it's just the people. At least, like for me, my first game, it was like, wow, it's a lot of people watching, and I played corner, so
You're on an island.
There's a lot of eyes on you, you know. So the first play.
yeah. So then, did your father ever get a chance to see you come out to a game and see you?
Yeah, when they went down to Texas.
Did he call it quits after that? Yeah. No, he came back. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. We made up. Yeah.
Did you get off the bus and see him this time?
Well, out of your college career, do you have one or two highlights that you are most proud of throughout your college career?
Highlights.
I know one.
What?
Pick 6 your freshman year.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Did my
right.
homework.
Yeah. I almost forgot about that. Yeah, that was insane. Yeah, I was 17, and it just happened too. Okay, but yeah, that's one.
How far was it? How long of a run was it?
I think it was like 55.
It was 55 and 2/10. That's what it was.
55, and you're running that hallway saying, "Don't catch me, motherfucker! Don't catch me! Don't catch me!"
Because I was already shocked I caught it. I mean, it just happened, and I was like, oh wow, like it was a fun moment.
Well, you touched on something earlier, Mike. You go from this incredibly big fish in a smaller pond to a small fish in a big pond. And I know a lot of people don't transition to that very well.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, guy I played with, I played D3. All right. The guy, a guy on my team who actually ended up getting drafted by the Raiders. He was at a very, very big D1 school, and he was that small fish in a giant pond.
Yeah.
And he couldn't take it. So he came to a D3 school, and he shined. I mean, he really did. But he shouldn't have been playing in D3.
Okay.
I mean, this is a guy who held the NCAA Division III punt record for, I think, close to 20 years. I mean, that's how long ago. 20 years ago. God damn. But, so now you start developing this talent. You're playing all 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be in the back of your mind. I'm going to get picked up.
Mm-hmm.
So what was that like?
Yeah, we're here to talk real authentic, right?
Mhm.
It started to get to me my senior year. It was nice junior year because you can't even imagine like NFL scout to like at practice watching you. You kind of know they're watching you. Yeah, that's why I'm a big like advocate of like checking in on your mental health because that was kind of like some of the negatives in my senior year, like just thinking about futuristic, like knowing every play there's a magnifying glass, and you want it to be like that, but when you never experienced that, you don't really know too many people that experience that, and then you just have it like in your face, like, hey, I just talked to this scout about you, like he want to, know this, that kind of stuff. Start to wheel me a little bit senior year.
So you played in an era where social media was present,
Mm-hmm.
and did the team ever get on you about your social media?
I wasn't really like a social media guy. I made a Twitter for football.
Oh yeah,
For like exposure, yeah. So I never had that issue.
I'm sure you had a huddle.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not really social media. That's just highlights.
Yeah, it's like currency for high school football.
Yeah.
Well, how out of control did it get? Because Mike and I grew up in an era where I don't know if you ever seen a movie called The Program. Did you ever see?
I saw it a long time ago.
A long
I know
time
it's a classic.
That's the era that we came up in, and
All the right moves.
D1 would get out of control with their players. Like that was the days when NCAA violations were rampant. And then the players get these egos. They were already superstars before they're superstars.
Yeah.
Did you see that on the field? Did you fall into that trapping?
A little bit.
Yeah. How
And I wasn't even like a projected superstar, but I just kind of had a inclination that I would get drafted. But yeah, just being honest a little bit, just knowing that one, my spot is probably not gonna get taken. Just knowing that like from a schematic standpoint, what I do is pretty hard to like just not pick me up. So like that kind of played a role for sure.
But at some level, you have to have that ego. You have to. You have to know you're the best. Remember, so a friend of ours is a guy named Lee Rousson, played in the 80s on the Giants, and he played in the blue and gray game. And he got on the bus in the front seat, and he sat next to this guy. And the guy turned to him and says, "I am Jerry Rice. I am the greatest wide receiver the NFL has ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't even in the NFL.
Yeah, I remember the story.
Yeah. Oh, did you listen to Lee?
No, somebody came and did a speech at Rutgers one time, told the story. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the truth. And Lee was sitting right next to Jerry Rice when that happened. And I don't know whether that was ego or confidence. Like there's that fine line between.
Fine line. Yeah, I think it's more
ego,
so,
confidence, or cocky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more so like having a whatever you want to call it, ego, whatever, having it here and being able to like tame it to a point where it's like respectful to to a certain extent. Because at a certain point, you don't really need for it to be respectful too. Like
I would have looked at the guy like, "Who the fuck are you?" But he's Jerry
Rice.
Rice.
Prove it though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of people that shoot their mouths off that are still walking the streets today that never made it.
Right.
In the NFL.
Oh yeah, without doubt.
Who? Ricky Waters was it?
No.
Was it Ricky Waters who was playing? Who played? He had his salary on how he did. Was that who it was?
No, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, he based his salary in the NFL. He's like, and it would have been a smart move if it would have worked out for him. But he says, I'll be a performance-based player, where my salary will be based on my performance, and he never really did anything. Yeah. Now he's selling weed.
A couple of good years.
Yeah, now he's selling
Notre Dame guy.
Now he's selling weed though.
Notre Dame guy. Wow, to that. Wow.
Yeah, you stepped on the field with Notre Dame a couple times.
No,
you never did.
Big Ten.
Oh, okay.
I went to Notre Dame for one game.
No, it was Penn State. You guys play, right? Yeah, you played Penn State.
Notre Dame Rutgers, 1992 or 93.
2-1.
Rudy.
It was close. It was close. Notre Dame beat them 62-0. It was close though.
I'm thinking the second.
It's funny because a guy I went to high school with, his brother was the coach of Rutgers back then, so it was a good trip.
Now you start getting into that senior year. How close did you make it to go into the big show?